So this month has been one of the toughest months that I've had to deal with in quite some time. See, I lost my job, which led to a lot of depression, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. It led to missing commitments, missing out on summer plans, and missing out on time with family. Just mostly because I just mentally wasn't present during a lot of that. But I didn't want to post this video for sympathy or anything like that. I just wanted to share what's been going on in my life lately. I think a lot of times we tend to not share struggles that we're going through and just choose to share the victories, which make things seem a little bit unrealistic to other people looking in. Now, despite everything that's been going on, I'm trying not to have such a down attitude. I'm trying to be a little bit more positive and look at some of the positive aspects that have happened during this time. You see, sometimes we have to make the intentional choice to ignore our rough situation, ignore all the gloominess around us, and choose to look at the brighter side of things. There, that's a little better. You have control over your own mindset, and that's about it. We can't control the things that are happening around us, so we just do the best we can with what's going on. Now, I definitely let it get to me, and like losing your job is definitely not easy. It's not something that you can just shake off right away. But there's definitely been some positive things that have happened since getting notified of losing my job. So shortly after that, about a week later, as I was coming towards my last day, my boss reached out and said, "Hey, I think we've got some work that lines up with what you're used to doing with one of our commercial clients." And so the following week, after I got back from a weekend of drill, I got started on working with that commercial client. So I haven't really had a gap in work yet. I've continued to maintain some income, and while that initially was only supposed to be for 80 hours, it ended up being that the client asked me to stay on even longer to continue working. And there's still some anxiety around me not knowing when I'll get stability again, but that's been nice to have. So I've been able to keep working, support my family, and along with that, I was recently told by my boss that it looks like I'm potentially going to get my role back with the company in my original position. So after all that, things are starting to look a little bit more positive. Now, that's not entirely certain yet, and still the job with the commercial company is still kind of temporary, so it's not going to be long-term, but it should sustain me at least through the end of this month, and hopefully by that point I will have something more stable. At least I'm hoping that I do, right? So who knows, but I'm trying to remain optimistic about the situation. Now, the timing of all this was definitely unfortunate because I had a lot of plans for the summer, and a lot of those fell through because of all the uncertainty around not knowing if I was going to have income or not. For instance, my wedding anniversary was this summer, as well as I had a couple of camping trips and hiking trips planned with some friends, and all that fell through, as well as being like my mental state wasn't the greatest during that time. So especially that first couple of weeks. So those commitments that I dropped, it definitely was a bummer to me to kind of let all those drop. For instance, creating videos weekly, I definitely didn't have the mental capacity or the creativity to deal with that at the time. And I just wasn't in the right headspace. But over the last week, I've definitely been missing that creativity. So, I mean, even earlier this week, I just kind of got the camera out and started taking shots of just outside just to practice getting some shots in higher light and just to kind of enjoy filming stuff, getting that creativity back in my life. Now, one of the hardest parts that I've had to deal with going through all of this is having to deal with being turned down repeatedly from job after job. I've pretty much heard everything from we feel like you're overqualified for this position to we feel like you're underqualified for this position, and even hearing, well, it was a close call between you and another candidate, but ultimately we've decided to go with the other candidate. Now, I'm not one who typically ties my self-worth or my identity in my work, but it kind of makes me feel like maybe there's something that I'm missing personally, or maybe I'm just not good enough at my job to succeed. But I'm trying to keep in mind that most interviews are only 30 to 60 minutes, and there's really no way that they can get a good feel for my personality or my technical skills within that time frame. It's not very often that you actually get presented with hands-on technical experience in an interview, at least not for my type of role. So I'm always trying to take those responses with a grain of salt and try to improve myself based off of how I felt things went in the interview for myself. One of the ways I've been trying to deal with all the stress is just trying to keep up with all of my habits, my good habits, as far as things like getting physical exercise, getting outside, spending time with my family, doing things that I enjoy doing, and also trying to get rid of some of the bad habits. I've definitely seen some improvements over the last few weeks of spending time on my phone and like doom scrolling social media. So that's been some great positive changes that have come throughout this last month or so, going through all this stress. Another big thing that I've done is just been reaching out to friends, chatting, being open about my situation, being open about what I'm feeling, what's going on, and just asking, for friends to pray for me, asking for advice, and different things like that. And I think talking about it and being open with other people and friends has been super helpful as well, because it helps me to be more reflective on things that I'm feeling and going through as well. I think too often we tend to shut ourselves in and kind of isolate instead of reaching out and asking for that help. Everybody's had their problems, everybody's been through struggles, and it happens, and people understand that. And I think when you try to isolate and deal with things yourself, it doesn't really benefit you at all. In fact, I think it just leads to more pressure and anxiety and fears, and it doesn't really lead to anything productive at all. And so, I'm just trying to stay positive through this. I've still got some interviews lined up, but I am leaning towards the hope that I will probably fall back into my old role with my old job. And so hopefully things will work out in the end, but we'll just kind of see as things move forward. Overall, right now, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place mentally. I've definitely still have my days where I don't feel like getting out of bed, or I feel a little bit more stressed than usual. But I'm just taking those as they come and trying to keep positive throughout all of that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so if you've stuck around this far, thank you so much for watching the video. And hopefully I'll have some better, more exciting videos to share with you guys coming soon.